right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for this week's 5 Flaming Hot Picks. Now, first, let's recap last week. Last week, we went 1-4. Sadly, the only pick that we hit on was the Vikings against Seattle, and that was right on the number -3. Other than that, we were wrong about the Browns, +9.5 against the Bengals. I thought it was going to be closer. Giants, +9 against the Falcons. I thought the New York Giants would give a rookie quarterback a tougher time. Didn't even bother to fucking show up and play the game. Eagles should have beat the Commanders. Eagles should have won that game. They put up over 30 points with Kenny Pickett. They had a 2-score lead, and their defense did not show up. So, Eagles, shame on you. Vikings -3 against the Seahawks. Geno Smith costing the team, in my personal opinion, and we saw his struggles continue against the Bears. They only put up 6 points against the Bears, and the Bears have been letting everybody blow them out, basically. And then my Niners -2 over the Dolphins. Yeah, not my strongest moment. I flipped a coin. I was going to take the Raiders against, I think, the Jaguars, and the coin came out Niners to put that in my picks. And the next time I flip a coin, I'm going to go with the opposite of the outcome because I was wrong. So let's get into this week's picks, ladies and gentlemen. This week, we're going to be making some money. We're 46-34 on the season for a 57% hit rate on my picks. So this week, we're going to be back in our winning ways, and you're going to be making some money. So here we go. Game number 1. We are going with the Colts -7.5 against the New York Giants, who are tanking for the number 1 overall pick. And with Anthony Richardson, who I believe is coming into his own, the dual threat that he has, the capability of running and occasionally hitting his target when he throws them long balls, is gonna help blow out the New York Giants. After last week's performance, it's clear to me now that the New York Giants they're packing it in. They're ready for Cancun. They want the number 1 overall pick. It's gonna probably be Shedeur Sanders that ends up with the New York Giants, in my personal opinion. And if that's the case, they're gonna get blown out by the Indianapolis Colts, who are playing, I believe they're still in the playoff hunt, but if they're not in the playoff hunt, they're playing to see if Anthony Richardson is going to be the future for the Indianapolis Colts. And I believe he's done enough this season. He's grown enough to warrant himself another opportunity next year. Pick number 2, Panthers +8 against the Buccaneers, who are dealing with a shitload of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Let's not to mention Bryce Young is playing phenomenal for his standards. He's definitely earned himself the opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers next year, and hopefully they'll put some more pieces around him. The connection that he has with Adam Thielen the last few weeks has been incredible, has been lethal. When he has been an underdog, especially a large underdog, especially in a divisional rivalry game, he's been able to cover. So because of all those factors, I'm taking the Carolina Panthers +8 to cover against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I ultimately picked to win the game. I think the game will probably be 27-24, 27-23. It'll be a 1-score game, but I don't think it's going to be an 8-point game, in my honest opinion. Game number 3, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills -9.5 over the New York Jets. Josh Allen is playing for a lot right now. The number 1 seed has been locked up by the Kansas City Chiefs. With that being said, he is still the front runner, in my opinion, for the MVP. He's the only quarterback this season that has beaten both number 1 seeds in both conferences, the Chiefs and the Detroit Lions, when they were the number 1 seed, and high-scoring games. The game against the Rams, high-scoring games. I think he went for 5 touchdowns in that game. He's been on a tear. Josh Allen this season has been on a tear, especially the last few weeks, and I know Lamar Jackson is playing phenomenal, but because Lamar Jackson is playing phenomenal, Josh Allen against the New York Jets, especially because I think the Buffalo Bills defense is going to be able to stop Aaron Rodgers, even though Aaron has been playing somewhat better the last few weeks. I think the Buffalo Bills, especially after coming out flat last week against the Patriots, this week put out a better showing against the New York Jets and blow them out by 10 points. I know it's a division rivalry game. I know I'm contradicting myself by always saying take take the underdog in a divisional rivalry game. But in this scenario, because of what is at stake for Josh Allen and because the New York Jets season is essentially over, I think the Bills are going to be able to cover. I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Bills are going to put up 40 points, and I think the Jets is going to be able to put up about 20, 29 points. So, yeah, Bills minus 9.5 over the Jets. On pick number 3, I'm taking the Cowboys plus 7.5 against the Eagles. I think the Eagles will end up winning this game. The thing is, the Cowboys right now, they feel really fucking good. The last couple of weeks under Mike McCarthy, their defense has been able to rally. Cooper Rush has been able to get them in situations where they can win the game, and he's done enough. If you look at the numbers, his comp is Dak Prescott's numbers. And yes, the season is ultimately over, but they're playing to save Mike McCarthy's job, which I ultimately think has happened. I think he's going to get a 2-year deal. He'll be back next year. They'll give him more weapons, more tools at his disposal that'll hopefully get them back in the playoff hunt. And if he doesn't make the run next year for an NFC Championship game, I could see Mike McCarthy next year being let go by the Dallas Cowboys and Bill Belichick potentially coming back, especially after being at UNC for a year. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts got hurt last week. If they ground and pound, we know if they hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, that's going to be game, especially because he's going for the record. But it's a division rivalry game. Jalen Hurts is hurt. And last week, their defense can definitely be had. They had a 2-score lead. They should have won that game with Kenny Pickett even after he took over because they still put up 30 points and their defense didn't show up. I think we're going to get a better showing from the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to make this a game, but I still think the Dallas Cowboys, the vibes are right. The momentum is with them, and they're going to make this a closer ball game than what most people think. That's why I'm taking the Cowboys plus 7.5 against the Eagles. Last but not least, I'm taking the Commanders minus 3.5 against the Falcons. The reason why is because the Commanders, with Dan Quinn at the helm, in my personal opinion, their defense has been elevated. Jaden Daniels, in my personal opinion, is special. He is developing. We saw what he was able to do last week against the Eagles defense. Even though Jalen Hurts wasn't out there, their team still put up 30 points. He was still able to overcome a 2-score deficit and come back and ultimately beat them in that game and keep them in the hunt for the playoffs and for the divisional title. The Falcons are starting Michael Penix Jr. Second game. I think Dan Quinn's defense is going to give Michael Penix Jr. problems, and I think Michael Penix Jr. will have a solid game. He'll throw a couple touchdowns. He might throw a pick or two. He'll have a good showing. The future for Atlanta will look bright under Michael Penix, but I still think the Commanders this season, with Jaden Daniels, with Cliff Kingsbury, with head coach Dan Quinn, will be enough. All that experience combined will be enough to overcome an inexperienced rookie in Michael Penix, who is barely starting his second game, even though he's played in four games. Last week was his first real time getting reps, and he had a solid showing. Not saying he had bad showing, but against Dan Quinn and his defense, I think he'll have trouble. He'll put up stats, he'll put up number, but he'll have a little bit more trouble than what he had against the New York Giants, who are packing it in for the season. They're already going to Cancun. They want the number 1 overall pick, and they're really not taking these games seriously. So Commanders minus 3.5 over the Falcons, who both teams are in contention for their division. I ultimately think Tampa Bay will take that division in the South, and I think the Commanders will fall just short of the Eagles. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, those are this week's 5 flaming hot picks. We got the Colts minus 7.5 over the Giants. We had the Panthers plus 8 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had the Bills minus 9.5 over the New York Jets. We had the Cowboys plus 7.5 against the Eagles, with the Eagles ultimately winning. And we had the Commanders minus 3.5 over the Falcons. We have as the on the money line, if you want to take my picks on the money line, we got the Colts, we got the Bucks, we got the Bills, we got the Eagles, and we got the Commanders all winning those games on the money line. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my weekly picks. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to join my Discord channel. Guys, please subscribe, like, and comment on the video. Share this with your friends, families, and partners. Make some money with my picks. Listen to my sports takes or just watch for some positivity. Always remember, desire is power, and if you desire to be great, you have the power to be great. Thank you for watching another 5 Flaming Hot Picks. I love and appreciate you all. Stay tuned for more.